How you doing today? Welcome to Joint Talk today. Let's get this motherfucker started. Smoke this big fucking joint down to the stinger. You know what I mean? I thought I'd do something different, you know what I mean? I thought I'd read some scary stories today. Something different, you know? Some ghost stories. This one is titled, It Wasn't a Little Girl. I was camping with my husband and his family at a small remote lake in New Mexico. There were about 10 people in our group and another group of 6 people in the next campsite. It was nighttime and both groups were doing typical activities, making s'mores, having a few drinks, telling stories. We all heard what sounded like a little girl yelling out for help. Neither group had children with them, but we were all positive we were hearing a little girl and decided to search the area, and we heard the noises formed from together. I don't know what that, okay, whatever. There was a field behind our campsites, and we saw a very tall, pure white figure standing maybe 100 feet away from us in the field making the noises. We all agreed this thing looked maybe 6 feet tall, skinny and white as can be. We made our closer way to investigate, but whatever it was we saw started backing off as we got closer, as it disappeared into the trees. All night we continued to hear a little girl call for help as we tried to sleep. Oh wow, that's some crazy shit. That is story number 1. Alright, next one. This one is called The Walking Dead. I'm a psychiatric nurse, and early in my career I worked at a residential mental health facility. One of our residents was an elective mute, which means that he couldn't talk, but there was no medical reason as to why. He had spoken earlier in his life, and in fact he seemed quite normal back then, with the exception of being close to 7 feet tall. God dang, that's wow, that's tall. That's pretty tall. Wow. Yeah, I try not to ash the floor, so I'm gonna just dip down sometimes, but don't mind me, don't worry. We're gonna keep this story flowing. Hold on a second. So he was resuming on the 7 feet tall. He'd been raised in the deep south and joined the military when he was 19. But one night he vanished. He was declared AWOL. Eventually he was declared missing and dead. Remember the 7 foot tall part. 10 years later, a 7 foot tall man walked into a VA hospital emergency room in my part of the Midwest and said to the receptionist, "My name is Marian Duchesne." Not the real name. And I've been dead for 10 years. Hope you're lighting a joint today, folks. This is gonna be a good episode today. Jesus. Alright. Those were the last words he ever spoke. He was covered with dust, and he was wearing the same clothes he'd been reported to be wearing the night he vanished. His social security number had not been used, and he had no identification on his person. However, they were able to identify him, I guess, via fingerprints. The family was notified, but they said they had already grieved their lost man, and that whoever was claiming to be him certainly could not be. They demanded not to be contacted again. So I don't know if this could be true or not. How could a man 7 feet later come back from the den, just go into the hospital, be like, I've been dead for 10 years? That's weird. But let me continue. So they demanded not be contacted again because, they already agreed for the person they lost. So they don't really give a fuck. Okay. Marion paced all day, every day, moving his mouth that looked like talking or muttering, but no song came out. He had an unnerving habit of throwing his head back with his mouth wide open as if he were laughing heartily, but not even a breath could be heard. If I talked to him, he appeared to listen, periodically throwing his head back in the laughter mimicking way of his. Nice. Various medications were tried, but they did not affect him, either positively or negatively. Occupational therapy did nothing because Marion would just grin, and unless told to stay put, he'd just get up and start pacing again. On my last day at that job, the last thing I saw was Marion pacing in the parking lot, throwing his head back to laugh. Later, I wondered if all along I've been dealing with a ghost. All these years later, I still don't know. Oh man, that got me stuck. Damn, that was a good story. Story number 3, you know what I'm saying? This one is called The Unrest Stop. Keep on just hitting this motherfucker. Alright. Unrest Stop. I was driving across country with my mom and sister when I was 16, and my sister was 20. It was late, but we were all rested and still alert. We were driving along an interstate and needed gas and a bathroom break, so we stopped at the only rest stop in 200 miles. There's a van full of teenagers on a road trip at the gas station, as well as a small gray car parked at the pump in front of us with 2 young men standing still outside of it. When we got there, everything felt wrong. We'd been on the road for days and seen many rest stops at night. and never have been afraid until then. My mom and sister went inside and I stayed in the car. I heard the teenagers say they were creeped out and couldn't get the pump to work and they left in a hurry. I was watching the car in front of us and the two men had not moved at all, not an inch. They weren't talking, they were on phones, they were just standing there, still as stone. Shit, I'm pretty stoned. I'm still as stone. I'm pretty stoned. Oh, that's so funny. Alright, let me continue. Let me ask this real quick, hold on. Still as stone, that's hella funny. Oh shit. My sister and mom came running back out to the car. When they got in, the two men slowly turned to look at us while not moving or pivoting the rest of their bodies, and I swear to fucking shit, we all saw the same thing. They had eyes dark as pitch and empty, truly empty, not black, not reflecting any light at all, just a void. We sped out of there and didn't stop till we were in the next city. The worst thing about the entire experience, we couldn't find the place on any map. We knew exactly which spot the interstate to look. We couldn't find it on Google Maps or any paper map we had. We even asked the locals about the creepy gas station out on that stretch of road and got only confused looks. We traveled on that interstate since, and there is no rest stop. Wow, okay, well, damn, that was crazy. Story number 4. Oh, Jesus. It came for us in the graveyard. Wow, okay. My bad. We were driving my friend's really old, beat-up Subaru through a massive graveyard. Oh, Jesus. We stopped and walked down a hill and came across a little pond. There was someone sitting on a rock on the other side of the pond. The figure was all black and we couldn't make out any features other than the fact that it looked like a man who was wearing some old style top hat. We stupidly waved and shouted, "Hi." I'm pretty high. He didn't show any acknowledgement and continued sitting still on the rock. All of a sudden, he jumped to his feet and started running to us on the water and then vanished in thin water about halfway on the pond. My friends and I screamed and ran back to his car. Oh, Jesus. Oh, God. The car wouldn't start and we heard something banging on the back of the car. It wasn't a constant bang, but every few seconds or so we'd hear it. Nobody was outside from what we could see in the dark, but something was making a noise on the car. I opened my phone and started dialing my mom to come give us a boost, but I had no service. None of us had any cell service. The next 30 minutes were spent trying to get her car started. No banging was heard afterwards, but we felt this heavy pressure around us. Jesus. Finally, the car started and she hit the pedal to the metal. We sped out of the graveyard so fast, immediately crossing the gate, all of our phones regained cell service. One thing I know for certain is that someone or something was out there, and it was not animal or human. That's crazy. That is crazy. That is crazy. Oh shoot, this sounds like a good one. Damn. This joint's lasting a long ass time. Alright. This one is titled, It Was Good to See an Old Friend. When I was 37, I went to my high school reunion. I flew into the nearest airport and rented a car. The distance was about 35 miles through a very rural and most abandoned part of the country. About 3 miles outside of town, I see someone on the side of the road flagging me down. It turned out that it was one of the guys I attended school with, Jim, not knowing his name. Gets in the car and we start talking. I have not seen him in 20 years, but he still looked the same, maybe a little older. We get to town and ask him if he wants to come to VFW and have a drink. He says no, just take me home. But Jim's parents have lived out only a few blocks from my grandmother's house, and I turned in that direction, but he said to take him to the outskirts of town. There was a mobile home park out there, and I figured that it was where he lived. When he reached the end of the turn off, he said, just drop me here. It was good to see you again, and he walks off into the night. There's that. Shit. Okay, gonna continue. I got to the VFW and met some of my old classmates. We start to talk. As we start talking about who was coming to the reunion, I mentioned that I just picked up Jen 3 miles east of town. I dropped him off. Everyone gets quiet. Even that guy singing karaoke stops and lays down the mic. My cousin goes white as a new t-shirt. Okay, hold on a second. Who did he pick up? Okay, I gotta continue reading. This is really creeping me out. Barb. Jim died on that curve 8 years ago. Rolled his car. We were at his funeral. I was told. I started feeling dizzy and went out to the car. Take some deep breaths. There on the seat is the local newspaper printed 8 years previous, containing Jim's obituary. I still have the paper. Someone take Reddit away from me. I can't stop reading these ghost stories. Fuck, man, that's crazy. So, bruh, who the fuck did he pick up? It was how's that possible? That's some crazy shit, bro. It's probably gonna be the last story. Because this thing's running out of storage. I fucking made hella videos until I ran out of storage. I'll upload them all too, though. This one is called Hell Hath No Fury Like a Woman Scorned. Oh, Jesus. After we moved into our home, we were told a woman died there at the hands of her abusive husband. Damn. She hated men. My dad would wake up and just have scratches all over himself. Whenever my brother was mean to my sister or I, he had scratches on him as well. One day my brother hurt hurt our sister. He hit her with something, and we woke up later that night. He had a horrible bloody nose. The day we moved out, my brother accidentally broke his twin's arm trying out a wrestling move. He swears that he would have died that night. It wasn't for our last in the house. For our last night in the house, right? Fuck. One more. This one's called "Death Came for Him." I was standing in my parents' room talking to my very sick dad at the time. He was dying of stage 4 esophageal cancer. He was stage 4 cancer. I got the feeling something was behind me. I looked towards the doorway to the living room, and something about 4'6", fully black, is peeking around the corner with his hand to the door frame. I ran towards it and slipped back around the door. When I go outside the doorway, there was nothing. My dad was completely confused. When I step inside the room and I tell him, people who stayed at my house in my dad's final days claimed to have seen it. My mom said the figure on multiple occasions in multiple places till he passed away. We haven't seen it since. I don't know what possesses me to binge read. Damn, that was crazy. The one that really tripped me out was the one about it was good to see an old friend. Because he picked him up and dropped him off. And I was like, wait. And then he told him, and he's like, wait, bruh, who did you pick up? I was like, what the fuck? Fuck, bro, I'm running out of storage. I still got something to draw. $22.50. I think that'll be it. Smoked the whole thing. This has been Joint Talk today. Signing out.